All right. Om ajïäna-timirändhasya jnanāञ्जन-शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुत्पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं साजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः. We are on chapter 13. Yesterday Bhagwan spoke what is knowledge and what is the purpose of knowledge. So the qualities of knowledge he spoke, and the purpose of knowledge is to know yourself. We study to get a job. So there is a goal. People take science to become scientists or any other thing, engineers or doctors. People take other subjects, commerce, etc., to become a CPA, CA, or whatever, People take arts to become artists or whatever they want to become. So there is a purpose of knowledge. Similarly, what is the purpose of spiritual knowledge? The purpose of spiritual knowledge is to know who you are. Who you are. That's it. So Bhagwan already started in chapter 2 that you are a soul. All right. He started from there. You are a soul. He gave Sankhya Yoga. He gave Bhakti Yoga. Then Arjuna is still asking, what is this field? Who is the knower of the field? All these things I have heard. Please explain that. Bhagwan explained all of that. And then Bhagwan says, the purpose of knowledge is to know yourself. Who are you? I am pure soul. What am I made up of? Pure consciousness. What is my real nature? Pure bliss. Satchidanand. So who am I? I am pure Satchidanand soul. I am pure. I am eternal. I am pure consciousness. I am blissful. This is my real state. With all that reality, I am embodied. This body is not me. This body is undergoing changes. I went into mother's womb. I took birth. I grew up. Then slowly the body started decaying. Now it is all going down. One day I'll die. And then again I'll take a birth. The soul will come out. My soul, me, I will come out from this body. Based on my consciousness, I'll take another body. The cycle goes on. What is this body made up of? So 24 elements were described. Those 24 elements describe this body. So in spiritual science, Atma is the word. And Atma, this word is used for the body, the mind, the soul. So when we read, we understand. Atma means all of these things. Atma means you, your identity. You are. That is Atma. Your original identity is you. But you have not gotten to that stage. So you always identify yourself with the external. And you feel this, I am this body. But what is this body? This body and everything is made up of only 24 elements. Everything was divided into 24 elements. Whatever you see in the world is 24 elements. That's all. That we learned last time. Now let's go ahead. Bhagwan yesterday told about what is knowledge. He said only these qualities are knowledge. If anything else other than this is not knowledge. And what are those things? I'll repeat again. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge. Besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. All right. Then 13th Shloka, Bhagwan says, I shall now explain you the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal Brahman. Brahman and spirit, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond cause and effect of this material world. Sarvata panipadam tat sarvato akshi shiromukham sarvata shrutim loke sarvam avritya tishtati. This Brahman, this Brahma, the supreme, the eternal, it is spread everywhere. That Brahma is subordinate to me. Brahma is that tattva, that essence. When the universe is created, before the universe is created, it is Parabrahma. Bhagwan is there. And then the first element that comes out is called Brahma Tattva. Another name for it is Mahat Tattva. So that first element is, Bhagwan is saying it is spread everywhere, or we call it as the spirit, Brahman, the spirit. It is everywhere. How does it manifest itself? Bhagwan says, everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces. He has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. Prabhupada gives an example here. As the sun exists, diffusing its unlimited rays, so does the super soul or Supreme Personality of Godhead. He exists in his all-pervading form, and in him exist all the individual living entities, beginning from the first great teacher Brahma and down to the small ants. There are unlimited heads, legs, hands, eyes, unlimited living entities. All are existing in and on the super soul. Therefore, the super soul, the Brahman, another name, English name is given as super soul. The super soul is all pervading. The individual soul, however, cannot say that he has his hands, legs, and eyes everywhere. That is not possible. If he thinks that under ignorance, he is not conscious that his hands and legs are diffused all over. But when he attains to proper knowledge, he will come to that stage. His thinking is contradictory. This means that the individual soul, having become conditioned by material nature, is not supreme. The supreme is different from the individual soul. The Supreme Lord can extend his hand without limit. The individual soul cannot. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that if anyone tries to offer him a flower or a fruit, a little water, he accepts it. If the Lord is far distance away, how can he accept things? This is the omnipotence of the Lord. Even though he is situated in his own abode, far and far away from the earth, he can extend his hand to accept what anyone offers. That is his potency. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhutaha. Although he is always engaged in pastimes in his transcendental planet, he is all-pervading. The individual soul cannot claim that he is all-pervading. Therefore, this word describes the Supreme Soul, the personality of Godhead, not the individual soul. So here, Brahman, the concept of Brahman is given. Bhagwan says that Brahman is spread everywhere, thousands of legs, thousands of hands, meaning in everything, in every animal, in every tree, in every bacteria, in every insect, in every bird, in every human, every devta, every creature in the lower planetary system, throughout the universe. That Brahman is spread. It is working through, it has so many. So this is the definition of God with thousands of eyes, Sahasra Purusha. Sahasra Purusha, Sahasrapat. We describe God with thousands of eyes, thousands of legs, thousands of faces, thousands of mouths. The concept that Bhagwan is in everything. And how is he in everything? He is in the form of Brahma. I'm living, I'm talking to you. I'm able to talk. This body can't do anything by itself. I've been given this apparatus. This will work only when the Brahma Tattva is there. And that Brahma Tattva, which is existing everywhere, is inside my heart, in my Atma. It's called Parmatma. So it is working in me. In the same way, it makes the animals work, the trees work, the plants work, the insects work. Same Brahma Tattva. So it is spread everywhere. It is spread through thousands of eyes, thousands of legs. This is the concept. Bhagwan in text 15 says, the super soul, the same Brahman, the super soul, is the original source of all senses. Yet, he is without senses. He is unattached. Although he is a maintainer of all living beings, he transcends the modes of nature. He is beyond these three gunas. That is why he is called Nirguna. There is a name for Bhagwan, Nirguna. Nirguna means he is beyond the three modes of material nature. Everything is working under his direction. He is beyond it. So that is why he is called Nirguna or transcendental. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all these modes of nature. Three modes of nature. We are going to learn in chapter 14. Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha suksmat atmavat tat. Bahirantascha bhutanam charam charameva cha suksmatvat tad avigneyam durastham chantike cha tat. The supreme truth exists inside and outside of all living beings and the moving and the non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is always near to us. Although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. I'll read the purport and then go to explain this. The Lord is situated in everybody's heart as the super soul. Does that mean that he has become divided? No. Actually, he is one. The example is given of the sun. The sun at the meridian is situated in its place. But if one goes for 5,000 miles in all directions and asks, where is the sun? Everyone will say, it is shining on his head. In the Vedic literature, this example is given to show that although he is undivided, he is situated as if divided. The sun is at one place. I am seeing sun in my place. People in New Jersey are seeing sun at their place. People in some other country wherever it is daytime right now, they are seeing it in their way. Does that mean the sun got divided? Oh, my sun, your sun, his sun, that sun. No. Sun is at its place, but it seems to be divided. They also give example of like there is a sun, and if there are like millions of mirrors. So it looks like, oh, in all those millions of mirrors, we see millions of images of the sun, same sun. It looks like the sun divided. But the sun divided? No. Sun is as it is. Similarly, that super soul is as it is. It is in everyone. It appears to be divided. It is not, just like the sun. He is situated as if divided. Also, it is said in Vedic literature that one Vishnu is present everywhere by his omnipotence, just as the sun appears in many places to many persons. And the Supreme Lord, although the maintainer of every living entity, devours everything at the time of annihilation. This was confirmed in the 11th chapter when the Lord said that he had come to devour all the warriors assembled at Kurukshetra. He also mentioned that in the form of time, he devours also. He is the annihilator, the killer of all. When there is creation, he develops all from the original state. And at the time of annihilation, he devours them. The Vedic hymns confirm the fact that he is the origin of all living entities and rest of all. Everything again returns to him, to rest in him. These are the confirmation of the Vedic hymns. Yato vai imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayanti, abhi samvishanti, tat brahma, tat vijñāvasa. Taittiriya Upanishad. So the statement here was, although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is a maintainer of living entity, he devours them. Got it? So I have explained, understand this concept of Dvaita. You as an individual soul are always there, and he as a super soul is always there. We, as our individual soul, Jivatma, living entity, we are only confined to this body. But Parmatma, as super soul, is in all bodies. He is witness to everything. Parmatma, as the super soul, is maintaining this body. And then he devours this body. Different name for the same Parmatma is Brahma. One of the name is Brahma, Parmatma. Brahma means the super conscious energy, the omnipotent energy, everywhere, spread everywhere. Spread everywhere. For example, they'll say Brahma, Khamma Brahma, Vayu Brahma, Agni Brahma. Kham means ether. Ether is Brahma. Spread everywhere. Vayu is Brahma, spread everywhere. Outside and inside, Bhagwan said. He is outside and he's inside of the living being. He is maintaining the outside and he's maintaining the inside. He is maintaining the outside material nature, giving grains. He gives rains, he gives sunshine, he gives nutrition to the moon, he gives grains. He's maintaining outside. We eat the grains. We only eat. Rest everything. Are we doing anything? We eat. Then the food gets, decomposed inside our body, and then different things, whatever the nutrition will go in different ways in our body. Everything gets divided. Whatever has to go, wherever it has to go, it is going. Blood is made. Then nutrition is going to various parts. Muscle is made. Fat is made. Everything. Certain nutrition which are required for our hair growth will go to hair, for nails, everything. The whole food is inside, decomposed into its nutrients, and all the nutrients are sent to different places. We are not even aware of this. Only when we fall sick, then we come to know, oh, somebody gets diabetes, they'll come to know, oh, there is a thing called liver, which is so small. There is a thing called pancreas. We have nothing to do with pancreas, but pancreas is so important. There's a thing called, when we fall sick, we come to know, oh, these body parts are there. When my leg broke, I came to know, oh, okay, ligament is so important. So we eat food. We only do the process of eating food. Everything else, who is maintaining? Parmatma. And then that Parmatma is, Bhagwan says, I am the digestive fire. He's Vaishvanara. He's the digestive fire. He's inside our body. If that fire is on properly, then the body is healthy. If the fire is in an improper state, then your mind and body both will be unhealthy. You get angry, we say krodhagni. You get lusty, we say kamagni. Sexual desire. All is fire. Fire element. If somebody has to control their krodh and their calm, we'll say, oh, change your food habits. What food you intake is creating a lot of things in you. And your whole body is maintained by this one tattva, even though we say it is maintained by vayu, but one of the most important component element is fire. We are breathing, and that breathing helps the digestive fire. That breathing gets into 5 forms, and the digestive fire digests the food, and then the air is taking it to all different parts of the body and maintaining our body. Such subtle things are happening in our body which we are unaware of. So this fire is maintaining our body. This air is maintaining our body. This air is Brahma, which is outside. This air is going inside. Brahma Tattva, going from outside, going inside. We call it Prana Shakti. Prana Shakti. We are inhaling oxygen, Prana Shakti. That fire, which is everywhere, is inside. Every day, our body is getting recharged because the great fireball, the sun comes out, recharges us. Whole day, the sun gives us the energy. In the night, the whole day we work, we are expending the energy. In the night, we sleep. The moon recharges us again with a cooler energy. Brahma outside, Brahma inside. Super soul outside, the Brahma energy, when it comes in the heart, it is called as Parmatma, as the super soul. So we think we are the maintainer of our body, but no, we just do some things. We are just doing some activities. But the actual maintenance is because of this Brahma Tattva. Bhagwan said, I am that Brahma Tattva. Inside the heart, inside I'm the super soul. I maintain the body and I am the one who devours the body. The same Agni Tattva, the same Vayu Tattva. Vayu means air. The same fire element, the same water element which is maintaining our body, the same air element which is there everywhere. We are breathing every day. What happens when we die, when the soul lives? What happens? Are you going to bring this body back by giving the Vayu element? Push oxygen in the nose. Nothing is going to happen. The nose will stop functioning. Wow, this is, I mean, open the mouth and fill it up with water. It won't go. What just happened? Give food so that the nutrition will be on. Nothing is going to work. Why? Because that Brahma Tattva, that super soul, out. From this, when we were in the womb, from this to this body, and then this body also gone, Bhagwan says, I devour, I maintain, I devour. I eat it up. I eat it up as a great fire. Samvartagni. The same fire element which was digesting and maintaining our body, the same fire element, when we die, burns it up, and our body, even if it is not burnt, it will dry up. Have you seen that body is 15, 16 days completely dried up? Nothing. Eaten by animals, finish. This body with whom we identified so much, we thought, I am so and so. This body is also not ours. Bhagwan says, I am the one. I maintain. I take it away. Bhagwan says, Jyotisham api tad jyotis tamasa paramuchyate jnanam geyam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya vishtitam. He, that Brahma Tattva, right now Bhagwan is talking in the third person, he is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge. And he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. So Bhagwan he's saying he, because Bhagwan is answering as a third person, because Bhagwan is answering for the Gyan Margi people, those who are on the path of Jnana. Because Gyan Margi, they do not want to believe in Bhagwan's form. They want to believe in something super conscious, omnipotent, some energy. They want to believe in that. So Bhagwan is talking in that language. Bhagwan is talking in the language of Brahma. Because people say, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. So he's talking in that language. And then he comes and says, he is situated in everyone's heart. That Brahma, whatever you are seeing in the world is illuminated. It is that Brahma. And where is that Brahma? He is situated in everybody's heart. He is beyond the darkness. He is beyond light. And he is situated in everybody's heart. Iti kshetam tatha jnanam gyayam choktam samatsatah mad bhaktah etadvigyaya mad bhava yopapadyate. Bhagwan, then after giving all this big knowledge, he says, Arjun, I explained you everything now. Too much knowledge, heavy knowledge. I explained you Kshetra, I explained you Kshetragya, I explained you Gyan, I explained you Gya, I explained you Brahma, Kshara, whatever you asked, I have explained you. Thus the field of activities, the body, the knowledge, the knowable have been described to you in summary by me. But Mad Bhaktah, only my devotees can understand this thoroughly. And thus Mad Bhava Yopapadyate. And thus they attend to my nature. He says, yeah, I gave you all this Gyan, all this knowledge I have given you. Good for the Gyanis. My devotees who worship me like this, 200 form, they know it. They just know it. They don't fall for all these things. And they know it, and therefore they just attain to my nature. Sarvapriya is writing something. So ending and beginnings are all Brahma. People attach symbols like infinity and flower of life to God. Should we consider these symbols as Brahma, or should we take them as perspective manifestation of their own adaptation of Gyan? Their own adaptation of Gyan. Brahma is everywhere. Okay. These are symbols. We want to express that Brahma in some way. That is why we use all these things to describe that Brahma, which is everywhere. When he says, I am in millions of eyes, how are you going to describe millions of eyes? How? In your little limited vocabulary or limited art or limited something. So these are all symbols, but Brahma means everything. Brahma means that tattva in this Brahmand and beyond the Brahmand. Brahmand means this universe, beyond this universe. Okay. All right. Prakritim purusham chaiva vidhi anadi bhavapi vikaram cha gunam chaiva vidhi prakriti sambhavam. Material nature and living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of nature are product of the material nature. Bhagwan said, understand this. This living entity, we are living entities. We are made up of two things. Para prakriti, apara prakriti, right? We know that. We are made up of this body. Yes. And we are the soul. Yes. So the soul, Bhagwan says, beginningless. And what about the material body? This also. How? Bhagwan, we see the material body is going through transformation. Yeah, it's going through transformation. But what was it made up of? It was made up of the 5 great elements. And once it dies, where does it go? It becomes into the 5 great elements. From dust we come, in dust we go. So these 5 great elements are also there from beginning. So these living entities are also beginningless. The material nature is also beginningless. What only happens is the transformation. The Brahma Tattva is Akshara. But the Prakriti that you see is going through transformations. Kare karana kartitve hetu prakriti ruchyate purusha sukha dukkhanam bhoktritve hetu ruchyate. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects. And whereas the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Purusha prakriti asthohi bhungte prakriti jangunan karanam gunasangoya sya sad asad yoni janmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the way of life, enjoying 3 modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. So Bhagwan here says, nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects. Whereas the living entity is the cause of various suffering and enjoyment in the world. I'll read the purport. The different manifestation of body and senses among the living entities are due to material nature. There are 8,400,000 species of life. All these 8,400,000 species are creation of material nature. They arise from various sensual pleasures of the living entity. And who does desire to live in this body or that? The living entity desires. Desire was created. And he desires, I want to live in this body. I want to live in this body means, Bhagwan will explain in the next chapter. If somebody has sattvic gunas, they want to become devatas. Somebody has rajasic gunas, they will want to come back to earth again and again. Somebody has tammo gunas, they'll get into animal life. They want to enjoy this. It's like we see humans. My gurus used to give me a lot of examples to explain all these things. So I'm just quoting those examples. Sometimes these examples are very, when you hear for the first time, you just don't want to hear. You just feel, when you believe in God, you feel like God is that cruel. Sometimes I used to go through that. Is God that cruel? Does he judge so much? But no, it's not God judging. God has made a very nice system. Whatever you sow, that you reap. You will like to enjoy. All right. There are different kinds of enjoyment. What kind of enjoyment you want to choose, you choose. I will give you, my material nature has made all arrangement to give you that body to enjoy. So it's up to you. What you want to be, what you want to choose. There are different kind of enjoyments here in the world. You choose, and if you want to die choosing those enjoyments, my nature will make all arrangements for you to be in that body, to enjoy that, to relish that particular pleasure. Who is stopping you? So here, I'll just take some pictures, okay? It might look like here. So they've given some pictures here. I don't know if you can see. So like this. So here is some consciousness, like at the time of death, you're thinking lusty thoughts, you become a tree. At the time of death, you are very animalistic. You become an animal, a lazy animal, At the time of death, you're very rajoguna. So you're becoming a rajoguni animal. At the time of death, what you're thinking is very important. So when I was learning Gita, I was very young. So now we have seen life, and now I've seen different kind of people. So I was able to relate. I meet some people. When I came to America, there was this guy. So we were driving, and then he's an American body, American African. So we were driving, and then there is a big billboard, and in that billboard there is beef something. So us India, I've come from India, and especially from a vegetarian background. So to see those things, we are like, okay, forget it. And for him, just looking at that picture, his mouth is like watering. He's like, let's take the next exit. I want to just eat that. Something he wanted, whatever the beef patty or whatever burger you call. I want to eat that. In my head, I'm thinking, and he's like, what about your lunch? I'm like, no, we are fasting. I can't eat anything here, because when we had come, not so many vegetarian options were available on the freeways. So he's going, and he every time he's looking at a picture like that, he's like, oh, I just want to eat. I just want to eat. If he sees a live cow, he just wants to eat beef. In my head, I'm thinking, wow, it is the same thing. Like when I look at samosa, I want to eat samosa. If we see billboards like that, samosa, pav bhaji, we want to eat. So same way with him. He is so much into that. He wants to eat that. For him, that is food. For him, that is not an animal. For me, that is an animal. An animal is being killed to fill your stomach. And I'm going through the cause and effects of it in my head. And I will never eat. But for this person, he's not going through the cause and effect, because the animal industry is so nice, so clever. They don't kill animal in front of you. When the packaged product comes, it comes so nicely. It is served on the plate. Who is thinking? Who is reading Gita? Nobody's reading Gita. Nobody wants to live. So then you realize, okay, so this person wants to eat that. And if he dies thinking of that, the picture itself is making his mouth water, and he's going to die. And the time of death, you see, you're not able to eat anything. Have you seen that? You're on the bed. They'll put lots of pipes in you. And here you're on the bed thinking, oh, when will I get that beef burger patty? You can't eat that beef burger patty. You're at the time of death thinking that. Or you're seeing that cow moving, and you want to eat that cow. And you left your body. Bhagwan is very kind. He's not judging you. Understand this. Bhagwan is like, you want to enjoy more, my bacha? More beef? Nature, give this soul that body. Let him become a lion. Why he should eat cooked food? Let him directly attack and eat. He was given the human life, but he has chosen this consciousness. He was given all the knowledge, but he chose this because he still wants to enjoy that. Let him be so. I've seen people who like to drink. Nowadays, drinking is socially acceptable. What all they look at the bottle, the picture, and the way they go crazy, their minds, their brains. The way we look at, anything nice, godly, we go crazy. Similarly, they look at bottle and their mind is like going crazy. So here you're going to die now. You're going to die and you're just thinking of all those wine and women, whatever you were doing throughout your life. And your hands are all like, all IVs going inside. You can't do anything. You're desperate to have that wine and woman one more time in your life. The consciousness, with that consciousness you're living. Bhagwan is not judging you. Material nature, you are mother nature, give that body to him, by which he will. If it was very, very tamoguni, very, very, he enjoys wine so much, make him those insects in the grape. When the wine is made, wineries, you go to the wineries, how the wine is made. So many insects are killed. Why do we call them tamoguni? Because of this. So many insects are killed and that it is fermented for so long. We can make them those insects. They want to enjoy. Let them enjoy in the raw way. Once that enjoyment is done, we'll give them a human body again. And we will give them the knowledge again. Still, if they want to accept, they may rise higher. Still, if they want to still go down, let them go down. No problem. The cycle goes on. 8,400,000 species have been given. What consciousness they want to carry, it's up to them. Gita steers you up. We start reflecting back what all we have done, what all our consciousness was. It steers you up, but it gives you hope. Bhagwan in the past chapters have said two things. Chapter 8, go to chapter 8. Read those shlokas again. 8 and 9th. Try to understand. Bhagwan said, whatever bhava, whatever consciousness you are leaving your body, you will get that body next life. But if somebody leaves their body in my consciousness, they come to me. Chapter number 8, shloka number 5 and 6. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavi yati nastyatra sanchaya. Whoever at the end of his life quits his body in my consciousness, remembering me, attains my nature, there is no doubt. So Bhagwan gives you hope. Bhagwan gives you knowledge. Life is not hopeless. We might have done things in the past. Our consciousness may have been bad in the past. But Bhagwan, along with the knowledge, is giving you the hope. Change your consciousness now. Don't live like an ignorant person. What does a guru do? The guru removes your ignorance. Ajïäna-timirändhasya jïänäïjana-çaläkayä cakñur unmélitaà tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. He opens your eyes. And we are hearing from Krishna Vande Jagadguru, Guru of all gurus. He is opening our eyes. Whatever your consciousness was in the past, forget about that. Try, make an effort to change your consciousness and come to me. You don't have to worry about anything. Bhagwan goes on saying, so important thing in this is consciousness. Now he went on saying, wait, I missed the paper page. Okay. So there are 8,400,000 species. And why they arise? They arise from the different sensual pleasures that the living entity wants to enjoy. Pleasure is of eating. right? We like to eat. As I told, we both are going. I like to eat, that person also likes to eat. But the food that the other person is consuming is killing somebody else. The food that I'm trying to consume is not killing anybody else. I'm also enjoying the sensory pleasure of eating, but no killing involved. The other person is also enjoying the sensory pleasure of eating, but killing involved. My consciousness is different than his consciousness. Then when we are on the spiritual path, we say we don't eat for ourselves. Whatever you eat, first you offer it to Bhagwan, and then you consume. Once you have offered the food to Bhagwan, all the Rajagun, Tamagun have gone away. Now you consume, you are consuming it for Bhagwan. And you purify yourself every day. What is the ahar? Ahar means food for your mind. Make it God conscious. Use all your bodily organs for the purpose of God and change your consciousness. This is what Gita is teaching us. All right. So according to one's desires and activities, material nature places one in various residential quarters. The being himself is the cause of his attaining such residential quarters and his attendant enjoyment or suffering. Once placed in some particular kind of body, he comes under the control of nature because the body being matter acts according to the laws of nature. So whether you are in animal life or whether you go to Devta life, both are bhoga. Here also you are suffering, there also you are enjoying something. You are bound by the laws of nature. Here also you are bound by the laws of nature, but you have been given freedom, you have been given knowledge to change yourself. So we are in between. Okay, between human and between animal and divine. It's our choice where we want to go. And there is third choice, go to God. Suppose an entity is put into the body of a dog. As soon as he is put into the body of dog, he must act like a dog. He cannot act otherwise. And if the living entity is put into the body of a hog, then he is forced to eat stool and act like a hog. Similarly, if the living entity is put into the body of a demigod, he must act according to his body. This is the law of nature. But in all circumstances, the super soul is within the individual soul. That is explained in the Vedas, Mundaka Upanishad. The Supreme Lord is so kind upon the living entity that he always accompanies the individual soul and in all circumstances is present as the super soul or Parmatma. Text 22. The living entity in the material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil in all the species. This verse is very important in understanding how the living entity transmigrates from one body to another. It is explained in the second chapter. We keep transmigrating. As long as we are captivated by this false manifestation, he has to continue to transmigrate from one body to another due to his desire to lord it over material nature. He is put into such undesirable circumstances. How he is put into different bodies, we know now. Under the influence of material desire, the entity is born sometimes as a demigod, sometimes as a man, sometimes as a beast, sometimes as a bird, sometimes as a worm, as an aquatic, a saintly man, or a bug. This is going on. In all cases, the living entity thinks himself to be the master of his circumstances, yet he is under the influence of material nature. How he is put into different bodies is explained here. It is due to the association with the various modes of nature. One has to rise, therefore, above these three modes of material nature. Unless one is situated into God consciousness or Krishna consciousness, his material consciousnness will oblige him and it will transfer him from one body to another body. And this has been going on from time immemorial. And so the person has to change his conception. That change can be affected only by hearing from authoritative sources. So you have to hear. The best example is here. Arjuna is hearing the signs of God from Krishna, the living entity. If he submits to this hearing process, will lose his long-cherished desire to dominate the material nature, and gradually, proportionately, as he reduces his long desire to dominate, he comes to a spiritual happiness. In the Vedic mantra, it is said that as he becomes learned in the association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he proportionately relishes his eternal blissful life. So the more you are with God, the more blissful your life is. 23rd, yet Bhagwan says, in this body, there is another transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the Supreme Proprietor, who exists as the overseer and the permitter, and who is known as the Super Soul. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. So whatever position you are in, you are that soul. Your original nature was pure. You got into this body and you are enjoying and suffering because of this body. We always think we are this body. If the body suffers, we suffer. So we are in suffering because of being in touch with this body and all the gunas. Gunas means the nature are making us suffer. So Bhagwan says the living entity is there. It is suffering because of association. And Bhagwan said there is also one more thing, super soul, who is there in the body. He is only the witness. Those who understand this science, they'll become liberated. Some perceive the soul, super soul within themselves through meditation. Bhagwan is giving them. Jïänäïjana-çaläkayä pashyanti kechid atmana anye sankhya yogena karma yogena chapare. Shloka number 25. Some perceive the soul within themselves, super soul within themselves through meditation. Some by cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive results. Different ways to realize Bhagwan, either through meditating upon him or going through the knowledge way, Sankhya Yoga, or doing the bhakti. Again, there are those who, not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship God just by hearing of him, hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Bhagwan is given different ways. Anyetve ajanantah shutva bhe upasate te api chati taranteva mrityum shuti parayanaha. So some people are meditating to go beyond this birth and death. Some people are cultivating knowledge. Some people are doing bhakti yoga. Some people are just hearing about Bhagwan, and just by hearing about Bhagwan and connecting with him through their feeling, they are able to transcend. Parishit Maharaj is that example. He transcended just by hearing. All for Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us the mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Just by hearing this mantra. Keep chanting this mantra and purifying yourself. This mantra is very, 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 very powerful mantra. I've seen people changing. Prabhupada could do this magic, changing the hippies from there. What hippies means? Uncontrolled sex, uncontrolled drugs, uncontrolled non-veg, intoxication, what have they not experienced? But those hippies, Prabhupada changed them to the level that they have stopped, they stopped even drinking tea and coffee, because that also is an addiction. Just by the power of this mantra, the power of the mantra and prasadam, offering food to Bhagwan and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In Kali Yuga, this is the most powerful mantra. Prabhupada has done it. I have experimented on so many people. I used to think, how will they change? I tried giving them other mantras. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, I know. I give, and if somebody has sincerely done it, they will change. They will change. Impossible, they cannot change. Then you understand the importance of this mantra. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Kevalam, Kalau Nasti, Kalau Nasti, Kalau Nasti Gati Ranyatha. So easy a name to chant, and it just changes the persons. So this is the most recommended process. Hearing. One should chant the name and hear from authoritative sources and learn the Bhagavad Gita. In this verse particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended, and this is very appropriate. Although the common man is not often so capable as the so-called philosophers, faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one transcend this material existence and go back to Godhead. O chief of Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both moving and non-moving, is only combination of field of activities and knower of field. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and one who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Samam Pashyan hi sarvatra sama avastatim ishwaram na hinasti atmanatmanam tato yati paramam gatim. One who sees the super soul in everyone, equally present everywhere, in every living being, does not degrade himself. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. So Bhagwan is talking about the transcendental destination. He will speak in chapter 15 what the transcendental destination is that the Vedas are mentioning. How do we reach there? There are many ways he's talking. By meditation, by practicing bhakti, by hearing about Bhagwan, by seeing Bhagwan in every living entity, by understanding that the super soul exists everywhere. Whatever, somehow, whether you open your eyes, you will see Bhagwan. Whether you close your eyes, you will see Bhagwan. Whether you see people around you, you see Bhagwan. In everything, each and everything, and not just by mere statement, you feel it. If somebody has gone to that mind, they will never degrade themselves. And he approaches the transcendental destination. Prakritya cha karmani kriyamani sarvasha ya pashyati tatha atmanam kartaram sapashyati. One who can see all the activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self means me, myself. Who is me? Atma. Pure Atma. I am not the doer. I am not the doer. The body is doing. The body is doing its functions. That's all. The eye is a function of seeing, it is seeing. The ear is a function of, ear has a function of listening, it will listen. The stomach is hungry, the stomach will signal the mind will go and get some food. You will eat it, body is digesting. All this is happening because of the presence of me, that living entity, and because of the presence of that super soul, Parmatma, within me. I and him are there always together. One who starts living like this, that this body is just a covering. Me, I am not this body. I am pure. Under all circumstances, I am pure. If somebody calls you impure, well, I did something impure. This body did something impure. Why it did something impure? Because at that time, it was in touch with Rajogun and Tamogun. From where did the Rajogun and Tamogun came? Through the association. Change the association. The body will always live in a pure state of mind. How will that happen? By changing the association. Association will change you. That is why to walk on the spiritual path, satsanga, 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 this is must. Without satsanga, no one can change. Doing different sadhanas, doing different japas is okay, but it still doesn't change your nature because you have to know. That is why Gita, you must learn. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, And he sees how beings are expanded everywhere. He attends to the Brahman conception. Obviously. Now, you see what? Everybody. Now in the higher stages, your drishti, your vision is so equal. You go beyond somebody's black, somebody's white, somebody's American, somebody's Chinese. You go beyond that. My same Bhagwan is wearing different clothes. He is wearing a Chinese cloth and he looks like a Chinese. Same Bhagwan. Same Bhagwan has worn an American cloth. He's looking like an American. Same Bhagwan is wearing an African cloth. He's looking like an African. Same Bhagwan is wearing a Indian cloth. He's looking like an Indian. Same Bhagwan, same super soul, same Parmatma is wearing some cloth and he's looking different. And what are these clothes made up of? This material nature, that is his Prakriti. What is this Prakriti made up of? Whether I see an American, whether I see an African, whether I see a Chinese, whether I see a man, whether I see a woman, whether I see a bear, whether I see a dog, whether I see a pig, whether I see a cow, they all are different. They are all super souls and souls wearing different cloth. That's all. And what is this cloth made up of? This cloth is made up of 5 elements. End of story. 5 elements, and they are soul and super soul, conscious energy. The whole world now appears like this. Why is the lion behaving like this? Very fierce, very terrible. Oh, because of Rajoguna acting on it. Why is a saintly person behaving like this? So nice, so compassionate. Satoguna. Why is somebody so lazy, so depressed, so intoxicated all the time? Tamoguna. Wherever you will see the play of gunas. So, okay, this is what life is all about. The dog and the human has the same body parts. The dog has 2 eyes, we have 2 eyes. He has 2 ears, we have 2 ears. He has a nose, we have a nose. He has a mouth, we have a mouth. He has legs, we have legs. His hands are also there, but they appear like legs. He has some different composition. We have some different composition. That's about it. But what is that body made up of? 5 great elements. That's all. Everything is just 24 elements and the unmanifest, when he said, and the play of these 3 gunas. And in everything you see, living or non-living, that is the same superconscious energy. When you look at the world where there's the achar, immovable things, you say, okay, this is Brahma. When you look at the movable things, okay, this is Parmatma. So Jnani, a real seer, Bhagwan says, sees like this. He approaches the transcendental destination. Those with a vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with material body, O Arjun, the soul neither does anything nor it gets entangled. The sky, due to its subtle, and Bhagwan gives that example, the sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything. Soul is subtler than the sky, the consciousness. Although it is all-pervading, similarly, the soul situated in the Brahman vision does not mix with the body, and although situated in that body. When you see that Atmanubhuti, we call Brahmanubhuti, Atmanubhuti, you have this consciousness. Pure consciousness always, from the beginning. And the same pure consciousness exists in everyone. They are appearing impure because of this material nature. But they are all pure consciousness, everybody. Yatha prakashati eka krishnam lokam imam ravi kshetram kshetri tatha krishnam prakashati bharata. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body of consciousness. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body. Who are the knower? There are 2 knowers, your soul and the super soul. and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. So the purport of the 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body and the owner of the body and the super soul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verses 8 through 12. Then one can go to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at first have some good association. Without satsanga, not possible. Okay. Good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes a stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his students to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. I hope you know by the end of this chapter. Make your notes. Those who want to understand like Tattva, make your notes. Those who want to just understand my bhakti, you don't have to. But those who want to understand, make the notes of the 24 Tattva, by heart them. This is like science. You know, if you go to chemistry class, if you want to know the structure, you have to by heart the periodic table. Number one qualification. If you do not know the periodic table, the elements in the periodic table, then you will not be able to learn chemistry. Similarly, if you want to understand spiritual science, then you should by heart 24 elements, and you should by heart how this cosmos comes into creation. That's by heart. That's all. Okay. All right. So the body is the gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychological effects. So gross manifestation of our body and subtle manifestation is the psychological effects. And the symptoms of life are the interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is the soul, and there is also the super soul. The soul and the super soul are two. This material body, this material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as the combination of the soul and material elements can also see the situation of the supreme soul, becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. So one is the super soul, whose part and parcel we are, and we have expanded into this, and we have expanded our world, but all of that is aggregate, total of 25. One is this 24 elements, material nature, and one is the super soul, 25. If we understand this, we are eligible to go to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization. One should have complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the teacher, spiritual master. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of nature, enjoyer, and consciousness. Too much technical chapter, but we finished it today. Tomorrow we are going to start one very interesting chapter, 3 modes of material nature. Okay, so 14th is very interesting, 15th will be a little technical, then 16th is very interesting. Okay, so we'll end it up here now. Let me see your comments. All right, Riya Joshi, Radhe Radhe Ma Mataji, aapke Shri Charno mein namaskar. So ending in the beginning, ye to bol diya. Sarvapriya, I have had eaten meat, drink, smoke, everything common incorporated before. Now I have left eating it all. How should I do penance for the past time I did it and I have that? You cannot do anything for the past. Past is gone. Only you can work in the present. And what do you do in the present? You have left it already. Very good. Next, make your life God conscious. Remember God in everything that you do. And whatever you do, number 1, start chanting Bhagwan's name. Number 2, whatever you eat, offer it to him first. And then you eat in your home, temple. Whatever you cook for your family, make the first plate, offer it to him. Right from your breakfast till your dinner. Everything offer it to him. Even if you go and sit in an hotel, when you're drinking, eating, offer it to the God of heart. So continue that and keep chanting. Chant as much as you can and offer everything to him. Eat prasadam. Hear satsangas. Hear the Gita lectures. At least one sense, let it be in God. either the hearing or the mouth or something. That's all you have to do. Nothing else. Past is gone. Bhagwan has given one statement in Gita. We learned it in the past. Api chet duracharo bhajante mam ananya bhag sadhu evatam mantavya samyak vyavasthito isa. Even if somebody had been a durachari in the past, if they are remembering my name, sadhu evatam mantavya. Think of them as sadhu. They are going, sadhu means the right person, and they are on the right path. Okay? So Bhagwan gives us the hope. All right. So with this we end up. May your day and night be Lalitamay. Jai Shri Krishna.
Thank you, Ma.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Guru.